Okay, so right now, a really high-stakes standoff is unfolding between Iran and the United States in one of the most critical maritime choke points in the world. And believe me, the first dominoes, they're already starting to fall.
Think about it. The very lifeblood of our global economy, these massive container ships are suddenly, well, grinding to a halt. You can literally see it happening. Marine traffic data is showing these vessels making abrupt U-turns, creating this huge traffic jam out in the Persian Gulf. They're basically retreating from the escalating threats that are just up ahead.
All right, Section 1, Crisis at Hormuz. This is the flashpoint. So where's all this going down? Well, the entire world is watching this incredibly dangerous situation develop in one of the most vital maritime choke points anywhere, the Strait of Hormuz.
So what does the situation look like on the water, like right now? Well, Iran has put out a really stark warning about anyone trying to pass through the strait. And that puts them on a potential collision course directly with the U.S. And look, this isn't just talk. We're already seeing international container ships literally stopping dead in their tracks or just turning around. They're just not willing to risk it.
Okay, moving on. Section 2, Iran's red line, a declaration of control. So what exactly is Iran's position here? Well, they've gone way beyond just issuing warnings. Now they've laid out a very clear, what you might call a non-negotiable red line.
I mean, listen to this quote from Iranian officials. It could not be more direct. They've declared total authority, saying flat out that they, and only they, will decide who gets to pass through this waterway. And they're framing this as, look, this is our national policy now. It's not up for debate.
And this declaration, it comes with a whole new rulebook. Iran has laid out 4 specific conditions for anyone who wants to pass. Let's break them down. First, all ships have to use routes that Iran specifies, no deviations. Second, only commercial ships are getting through. Third, and this is a huge deal. Any ship from a nation that Iran decides is hostile, they're not getting in. And finally, number 4, every single movement will be watched, and I mean directly watched by the Iranian military.
And here's the kicker, the ultimatum. Iran is tying all of this directly to the American military presence in the area. They're threatening to shut down the strait completely if the U.S. continues what they're calling a naval blockade on their ports. So let's be super clear here. Tehran sees this as a direct response to U.S. actions.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, America's response, a firm counter stance. So how did the U.S. react to Iran's declaration? Well, probably just as you'd expect, with an equally firm, hardline position of its own.
So what we have now is this incredibly dangerous diplomatic deadlock. On one side, you've got Iran accusing the U.S. of violating a really fragile ceasefire with its naval activity, and they're warning that this could push the whole region back towards a full-scale war. On the other side, the U.S. is firing back, saying that if these talks fail, that ceasefire is off the table, and they're leaving the door open to resuming airstrikes. It's like both sides are daring each other to back down, and the entire region is just stuck in the middle.
Now this brings us to Section 4, the global shockwave, and why this matters to you. You might be listening to this thinking, okay, this feels like a distant conflict, right? Something happening halfway around the world. But the shockwaves from this could literally impact everything from the price you pay at the pump to the stability of the entire global economy. Okay, to really get the impact here, you got to understand the location. The Strait of Hormuz, it's not just some random body of water. Think of it more like one of the world's most vital energy arteries. A huge chunk of the entire world's oil supply flows through this one narrow channel every single day.
And the U.S., they're already getting ready for the worst-case scenario. It's a pretty big deal. Washington has started releasing millions of barrels of oil from its emergency reserves. The whole idea is to pump more supply into the market to try and keep prices stable, to cushion the blow if the strait actually gets shut down. It's a huge signal that, yeah, they are taking this threat very, very seriously.
So let's talk worst-case scenario. What could happen? Well, for starters, a massive disruption to the world's oil supply. That would almost definitely cause a huge spike in energy prices for, well, all of us. Then that uncertainty just ripples out, affecting all kinds of international trade. And maybe the scariest part? There's a very real danger that this conflict could get bigger, pulling other countries into the fight.
Which brings us to right now, Section 5, on the brink of war, an unresolved standoff. Both sides are completely dug in, creating this incredibly tense and unresolved situation, and it really feels like we're on the verge of something much, much bigger. And you know, analysts are pretty much all on the same page about this, and what they're saying is, well, it's sobering. They're calling the situation a tinderbox. They're saying that if there isn't some kind of diplomatic off-ramp, and fast, this whole thing could easily blow up into a major military conflict. And the consequences of that?
They'd be felt all over the world.
So that's where we are. And it leaves us with this one critical question. You have Iran asserting total control. You have the U.S. signaling it's ready to use force. With both sides refusing a blank, is there any room left for diplomacy?